Well, in this lesson, I'm going to be presenting audio from a live event I did with the Tibetan Lama Mingyur Rinpoche at the Wiltern Theater in Los Angeles. And Mingyur is, by all accounts, a wonderful teacher. I had never met him before this event, as you'll hear, but I studied with two of his brothers a long time ago, and his father, Tukul Rinpoche, was the greatest meditation teacher I've ever met. I wrote about him in my book, Waking Up, and I've read some of those sections here on the app. As you might recall from my discussion in those lessons, the highest non-dual teachings in the Tibetan tradition are the Dzogchen teachings, which begin with a teacher giving what is called the pointing out instructions. Now, traditionally, a Dzogchen master won't give these teachings to anyone who hasn't done a long course of preliminary practice. And this often entails hundreds of thousands of repetitions of mantras and prostrations and visualizations. There's a whole sequence in the traditional Vajrayana or Tibetan Buddhist context. And there are certainly reasons for that. There is a potential downside to giving the highest, most refined, least conceptual teachings up front. So some of these concerns seem justified to me, but some don't, and I walk the line as I see fit in this course. Ultimately, there's more to the Dzogchen teachings than just pointing out the non-duality of awareness. There are supporting practices that are actually unique to the tradition, but the essence of the teaching, that the self is an illusion, and that this can be recognized directly, and that thereafter the practice of meditation is just a matter of becoming more and more familiar with this intrinsic non-duality of consciousness, that is an empirical truth held in common with other contemplative traditions, both within Buddhism and without. And that is something that I'm trying to describe and discuss and direct people to as clearly as possible throughout this course. So in this live event where Rinpoche was meeting me for the first time and speaking to the general public, he communicated the general attitude of Dzogchen. He spoke about meditation being essentially non-meditation, the fact that there's nothing to fixate on, there's no state to produce, awareness is already fully present, you don't need to improve it, it's already empty of self, etc. However, he clearly wasn't comfortable teaching Dzogchen as explicitly as it can be taught in this context. So there was a sense in which I was repeatedly pushing on a locked door. So that's just to give you some subtext to the conversation. Anyway, Rinpoche struck me as a truly wonderful Lama. His good vibes certainly come through in the recording. They come through much more in person. And if you're someone who wants to get into more formal practice in an explicitly Buddhist context and sit retreats and get Dzogchen teachings, I would certainly recommend that you look him up. His teaching schedule and his books and a variety of online resources can be found at his website, which is tergar.org, tergar.org. Though I've never studied with him, I suspect he teaches very much in the style of his father. So for anyone who wants to get deeper into these matters in the context of retreat and who's willing to go through the front door of a formal Tibetan Buddhist practice path, well then, by all means, seek him out. And now, without further delay, I bring you Mingyur Rinpoche.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sam Harris.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, this should be interesting. This is not my usual event. I guess I want to get a sense of who's here tonight, though, so we can know how to navigate this conversation. How many people here have some sort of meditation practice? Wow. All right. How many people here are using the Waking Up app? All right. Well, wait a minute. That second group can't be larger than the first group. What are you people using the app for if you're not meditating? Okay, so Happily, we're going to be talking a lot about meditation, the nature of mind. This is the first Waking Up sponsored event. It's also co-sponsored by the Mindful Awareness Center at UCLA. And thank you. And I've been incredibly fortunate in my life to study with some great meditation teachers. And the most important teacher I ever studied with, the one who had the greatest effect on me, was a man named Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche, who lived in Nepal. And I remember when I first went to study with him in my early 20s, I remember hearing that he had several sons. I met two of his sons, but I heard he had a son who was just finishing his first 3-year retreat, which he had started at the ripe old age of 13. And I remember thinking back on what I was like as a 13-year-old and finding the comparison somehow unflattering. Anyway, this son was Mingyur Rinpoche, who I never met until tonight. He's gone on to become a much beloved teacher of Tibetan Buddhist meditation. He has started many monasteries, and in 2011, he did what is called a wandering retreat. He decided to escape from his life. He literally snuck out of his monastery in the dead of night, taking virtually nothing with him, and abandoned his identity as a teacher, his students, his friends, his family, and spent the next 4.5 years wandering as a homeless yogi through the Himalayas and the plains of India. To think about what that must be like. You know what it's like when you leave your house and you realize that you forgot your cell phone? It's just like that. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about. It is really a great honor to be on stage with this man. Please welcome Mingyur Rinpoche.
Thank you.
So welcome to Los Angeles, Rinpoche.
Thank you very much.
So let's start with your background as a tulku, because you had a quite an unusual upbringing as a tulku. What is a tulku, and what was your experience growing up as one?
Yeah, so Tulku is kind of like special, recognized as the reincarnated person. So look like a prince, what I call Dharma prince. So, but I don't know who am I. But I feel very happy that I'm recognized as Tulku.
Well, so first of all, it should be said that growing up as a tulku, you're kind of like Buddhist royalty, right? It's a very isolated, pampered existence.
Yes.
Where you're
everywhere I go, people do like this.
Yeah.
And I do back also like this. And after some time, I don't know where to like.
Where to point it? Yeah.
Or confused.
Yeah. You lived since early childhood knowing you were a tulku and you were being raised to be
I think when I was 4 years old, I think, something like that.
And your father was one of your teachers, and
Yes. I was very lucky that I just being born, then there's a teacher, meditation teacher. I don't have to look for teacher anywhere.
Yeah.
So wonderful.
You were you were surrounded by some of the best teachers of the 20th century.
Yeah, and my grandpa also great meditator, and my grandma also meditates. So that's really, I think, I get a lot of influence by them.
Right. So you inherit this role as a great lama from a previous life,
Yes.
but then you start practicing very, very early. You did your first 3-year retreat when you were 13.
Yeah, so although my father was great and I have this loving family, and also I was born in Nepal, the right middle of the Himalaya mountains, but I had panic when I was 7, 8 years old.
You had panic attacks.
Panic attacks.
Yeah.
Panic attacks. So really not happy, and my heart really speed up and tight around my neck and the headache like that. So then I try so many things to fight with my panic. Sometimes I go way up on the top of the mountain, but panic follow me up there. Or then I thought maybe I go deep into the valley. So we have this river with a lot of trees, woods, and go down there and panic follow me down there. So then when I was 9 years old, I shared this with my mom. My mom said, oh, maybe you should learn meditation from my father. I said, oh, maybe not now. I feel a little bit, my father said, you're too young to learn meditation, or maybe you're stupid, But my mother asked my father without my permission. And one day my father said, oh, you want to learn meditation, right? I said, yeah, but who told you, And my father said, your mom did. But he was so happy that he taught me meditation when I was 9 years old. Yeah. And what I did is fighting with my panic. My motivation why I want to learn meditation is I want to get rid of this panic, So I'm meditating. Hello, panic, you get out. Breathing, focus, no panic. But then panic becomes stronger. And then I discussed this with my father. My father said, don't fight with the panic. You have to say, welcome panic. So I thought, oh, I changed, style. So I begin to say, hello, panic, welcome. but my main motivation is, I still want to get rid of my panic. So, hello, panic, welcome. If I say welcome, then you will not come back again, right?
Yeah.
Same thing.
I've met hosts that welcome you to a dinner party with that same feeling.
So, but even though not really welcome, but if you begin to welcome, it helps a lot. But I'm lazy. I don't want to meditate a lot. Then panic comes back again, and then. So when I was 13, I thought, oh, I should join retreat. Then my laziness will not come. So that reason I went to retreat. So when I was 13, so for 3 years, the first year was terrible. My panic come back again because my laziness follow me in the retreat.
Yeah.
And my panic, they two become good friend.
Yeah.
Panic becomes stronger. Then I thought, what should I do? Leave the retreat? Stay? I decide, stay. And then what I did is I really accepted my panic to try to learn how to be friends with my panic. Use panic as support for my meditation. So then in the end, me and my panic become very good friends. And what happened in the end? Do you want to know?
Yeah. We're here. No, I'm sorry, I have to leave now.
So in the end, me and my panic become very good friends, and panic say, bye-bye, and gone. So panic gone.
So Rinpoche has written a wonderful book titled In Love with the World, and it starts with his wandering retreat. And what's interesting about that is that you have this background as a long-term meditator. You spent years on retreat, and you have all of the status of being a revered teacher. You're surrounded by students and attendants, and then you decide to sneak out of your life. And as you detail in the book, I mean, one of the beautiful things about the book is it's a very honest account of just how stressful you found the experience of wandering around India initially. And in fact, you almost die very early on, like 2 weeks into the trip. Were you surprised to find that once you removed all the conditions of your life as a tulku, this fear and embarrassment and other strong negative states were there to greet you?
I've been preparing to go on retreat like that, wandering retreat. But when I really on the street without any particular plan for shelter or particular money, anything. So at the beginning, it was quite a big shock, So I remember that I went my monastery and I took the very simple, the third class train, and I end up in the train station. I have no any plan. I stay on the station, on the ground. I look around, there's nobody does like this.
Yeah.
Nobody doing bows. And I feel like everybody is looking at me, There's some police there, and I thought, they are looking at me. Why they're looking, So, kind of like I had a lot of what I call me's. I am, teacher, I am practitioner, I am abbot, I am the book writer, and a lot of those things. So one of the reasons is the wandering retreat is if you go out of our comfort zone, our cocoon, to explore the world, which is totally something that you're not normally in your normal cocoon.
Yeah.
So that really helps to learn, develop the meditation, also learn about the life. Yeah.
So we're going to talk a lot about meditation and the nature of consciousness, but I thought we could begin with a short period, maybe 5 minutes or so of practice. Would you like to lead us in a guided meditation?
Yeah. Wonderful. Right. So what we call is the basic goodness. Basic goodness is the nature of all of us. The fundamental natural quality of our mind is wonderful. So all of you, the fundamental quality of your mind is fantastic. You all have awareness, love, compassion, wisdom, skills, capacity, which is all these are within ourselves. So that's what we call basic innate goodness. Do you believe or not? How many of you believe? Raise your hand. Oh, good. And how many of you don't believe? Raise your hand. How many? Good. I don't believe at the beginning, When my father told me about this, I don't believe that. So if you don't believe, maybe smart. But what meditation does is to connect with your fundamental nature. So there's one special meditation, what we call open present, open awareness, shamatha without object. So that I will teach you. And this is really special. Do you want to learn? Yes, raise your hand. Okay, but there's 2 steps for that meditation. First, we need to learn just be, just relax. Don't meditate. Even you know how to meditate, let go of meditation, okay? And the second step is, I will teach you the open present, or the natural state, how to be with the natural state of mind. So that is the second step. So 2 steps. Remember? First step, just relax, just be. You don't have to meditate. And if you have blah, 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 yada, yada comes in your mind, welcome. Because you're not meditating. Whatever, blah, blah, yada, yada, okay. Just be. So how to be? Actually, you've been doing this in everyday life. After 5 p.m., you finish work here 5 p.m.? Los Angeles? 6 p.m.?
No. 2 of them finish work at 5 p.m.
Okay. Whenever you finish, and you go back to your home and rest on your chair. Like that, right? Just relax like that. And you've been doing that. Nothing new. And also, another example is after cook, after physical exercise also, jogging for half hour. After that, or after exam. What else? Any example?
That's it. That's all we got.
Okay, good. So we will do this together with deep breathing, like breathe from your nose and hold for 10 seconds and let go. And then just be, and no need to meditate, okay? So this is more relaxed than meditation normally, Okay, now please, everybody, keep your spine loosely straight and close your eyes now. And please feel your body relax muscles in your body. And just be. This time you are not meditating, so blah blah, okay, yada yada, okay. Just be. Now please deep breathe from your nose. Hold for 10 seconds. Now just be. Just relax. And if you cannot relax, also okay, allowed. If you allow that you are not relaxed, that means you are relaxing. You are not meditating, so anything is okay. Just be. Whatever thought, whatever sensation, bala bala bala, yada yada yada, ha ha hoo hoo, okay. Let them come, let them go. Even let go of meditation. Just let your mind be as it is. Okay. Finish. How was it? So, how many of you feel a little bit relaxed? Raise your hand. Oh, I can see everybody. Good. Okay, thank you. So, do you want to know the second step? Okay, the second step is, there's a big secret for that, you know. I don't know, should I tell you this big secret or not? Promise that you will not tell anybody? It's on, I'm just kidding, it's in my books, you know. So, now I will tell you the second step. The second step is, actually, the second step is already finished. Got it or not? Understand? Actually, the first step is the second step. So, the open present meditation is already finished. You already did it. Congratulations. Good. So, what we call non-meditation is the best meditation. So the real meditation, you don't have to meditate. You just be. And your mind is always calm and clear. The awareness is always there. So what we call awareness is like sky. And this thought, emotion, feeling, yada yada, whatever, blah blah, is like cloud in the sky. So whatever, beautiful cloud, ugly cloud, it doesn't change nature of sky, isn't it? So you don't have to do anything. It's just there with you. Your fundamental nature is perfect. So then, why we have to do? Just be. That's all. Thank you.
All right, well, don't worry. I'm going to ask Rinpoche about that second step. So there's so many doorways into this. But so one thing you write a lot about in your book is death. But death not just as in the end of life, the death that can be seen in each moment in life.
Yes.
That introduces a kind of
Dying
just
every day.
the impermanence of phenomenon.
Yes.
And so I want to talk about that a little bit. And I mean, just to make us all sensitive to what this is. So you just reflect on what it was like to get here, right? You all knew you were coming here. You had tickets. There were lots of hassles you encountered trying to get here. You had to get a babysitter. You had to get out of work early or whatever it was. And you spent a lot of time trying to get here, right? And now you're here, and on some level you're waiting for something to happen. Eventually one of these guys is going to say something that makes sense, right? And so there's this way in which we never quite arrive in the present moment, right? We're always kind of reaching into this moment, trying to find fulfillment or trying to solve some problem. And it continually recedes like a mirage. And each experience has the character to disappear simply because it has arisen in the first place. Nothing lasts. And so perhaps you can talk a bit about the implications of that.
Yeah. So what we call the essence of meditation is the awareness. Awareness, that's the sense of being, the knowing. What we call the natural quality of mind is clear and knowing. So your mind has special quality, which is what we call knowingness, luminosity, clarity. So can you see my hand? Yeah? So that is the awareness. Can you hear my voice? You hear my voice, right? So that is awareness, the knowing quality. So this knowing quality is like lamp. So if there's a lamp, if you lead the lamp into the dark, into the house, which is completely dark, then the lamp will illuminate darkness around the lamp. You can see things around the house. At the same time, the lamp has quality to illuminate by itself, what we call self-luminosity. So in order to see the lamp, you don't need to use flashlight to see the lamp, yeah? It's just there. So our mind has this true clarity, self-clarity or self-luminosity, which is being mind is the knowing, is the clarity, is luminosity. But at the same time, this luminosity manifests through ear, you can see, through eyes, sorry, not ear. Through eyes you can see, through ear you can hear, through nose, smell, taste, thought, emotion, feelings, everything. So all this thought, emotion, feeling, perceptions is like cloud. Comes and goes, comes, goes. But the natural fundamental quality of mind is just knowing. So the meditation is all about how to connect with that knowingness, the luminosity within ourselves. It's not about controlling, not about doing. Normally we have some kind of expectation about meditation, right? When I meditate, the meditation meaning peace. Meditation meaning calm. Meditation meaning relax. Meditation meaning openness. Meditation meaning non-conceptual. So that is the belief. Do you believe that or not? Sometimes, right? So that kind of like expectation, kind of like pre-expectation. Then you try to match that expectation whenever you meditate. So actually no need, because the awareness is there with you all the time, even without meditation, right? Meditate, not meditate, it doesn't matter. What you have to do, just recognize awareness and just be with that. So you don't have to do it, you just be, just there. So therefore, the peace, calm, joy, all these are what we call experience of meditation, not the essence of meditation. The essence of meditation is awareness. So when you meditate, you don't have to do anything.
And there are many misunderstandings that can intrude here. I mean, so you just suggested one, which is this notion that meditation is synonymous with peace, right? Otherwise you're not meditating. But there's this sense that meditation is a solution to a problem. Like, so you take your panic attacks. Initially you think, well, I'm going to meditate so I don't have to feel this way ever again, right? So freedom is based on the goal of getting rid of panic attacks.
Right.
But in fact, it's possible to just discover the freedom of awareness even in the presence of a negative emotion, like a panic attack, right? So it's not, even before the thing has left,
Yes.
and it will leave. I mean, if you practice enough, you can actually feel better and better. But there is a way of discovering that the luminosity of mind, just that which is aware, doesn't actually take the shape of the panic.
Yes.
Or any other negative emotion. I don't know if you,
So actually, we are already perfect. Our fundamental nature is always wonderful. So, as I mentioned before, we all have awareness, compassion, wisdom, all these are there. So you don't have to do anything. What you have to do, just recognize and just be with it. So if you look for peace, calm, spacious, and then peace and calm will say, I'm busy. You have to make appointment. And then maybe if I'm in good mood, then I will come. And if you say, no panic, no blah, 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 no yada, yada, no busy, no stress, they become worse, actually. Like example, if you say, don't think about the pizza, what happened? You will think more about the pizza. Isn't it? So when I was young, for me, the panic of panic is more problematic than panic. The fear of panic, aversion of panic. So once I really let go and make friends with the panic, then it's okay. So for the awareness, it doesn't matter panic or not panic. It doesn't matter peace or not peace. Not peace. The real peace, genuine peace, is the awareness, like sky. So the sky is full of cloud, or sky is with the completely sun shining blue with the rainbow, doesn't matter. But the problem for us normally is we are lost in the cloud and we don't see the sky. So for the meditation is to be with the sky itself. Then what is this sky? The awareness.
So you take a negative emotion like embarrassment.
Yeah.
Right. Now it's possible that there are a few pieces here. So we've just said it's possible to feel embarrassment, recognize it as a phenomenon, just an appearance in awareness, and to be free of the problem even while the physiology of embarrassment is still dissipating. But the fact that embarrassment has arisen in the first place, must that be a sign that in those previous moments you were lost in thought? Or, is it possible to be recognizing awareness and have embarrassment arise in that context?
So the first thing is we need to recognize what is awareness. That is what we call view. Then the motivation. Second thing is the motivation is I want to meditate. I just want to be. So when you be with that, first I think might be you can start with the object, maybe breath. We just learn how to be with the open awareness. If you feel comfortable, you can do that. But not comfortable with that, you can use object. Just aware, watch your breath. Breathing in, breathing out first. Maybe at least if you're new to meditation, at least 1 month.
Yeah.
Watch breath. Just know breathing. Do you want to learn breathing meditation? I will ask you a question, okay? How many of you are breathing right now? Raise your hand. Okay, everybody is breathing, right? So that is the breathing meditation. Finish. Very simple. It's about awareness. Knows that you are breathing, that's all. So breathing in, breathing out, and at the same time, you don't have to do anything. The pizza comes when you watch your breath, okay. If you not forget your breath, let pizza come. 2 pizza, 3 pizza, normally what I call even 10 pizza comes, okay. As long as if you still remember your breath. So just connect with awareness. Then eventually, you can be with the panic. So same thing, when you watch your breath, the breath become object of your meditation. Now you can watch your panic. Then panic become object of your meditation. What we call, if you see the river, you are out of river. In Los Angeles, do you have river?
Sort of.
Sort of river? Meaning dry river?
It's often dry and it's made of concrete.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's a beautiful river.
Oh, okay. So let's say in Nepal, in India, we have river, So the big river, During the monsoon, river become muddy and sometimes a lot of waves. If you see the river, you're out of river. And it doesn't matter, river is muddy or clean or calm. But if you fall in the river, carried by a river, you cannot see river, isn't it? So, when you see the panic, you're out of panic. You're connecting with awareness. But at the same time, still there's a panic. When you see the river still continued. But it's okay for you. You're not lost in it. So, the issue is the relationship between you and the panic, you and the what we call monkey mind, the bala 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 yada yada yada. There's no issue about whether your nature is clear or not. You have this clarity, wonderful nature, which is awareness. So everything can be used as support for your meditation. But at the beginning, you might feel like overwhelming. If you feel overwhelmed by watching panic, then back to the breath again. Watch a little bit, back to the breath.
So as you know that people begin a practice of meditation feeling a very strong sense of self, right? And Buddhism and many other schools of meditation have advertised this idea that the self, in some basic sense, is an illusion, right? Or at least it's not what people think it is.
Right.
In what sense is the self not as it seems?
Yeah. So there's 3 different sense of self. Unhealthy sense of self, healthy sense of self, and luminous self or self beyond self. So the unhealthy sense of self is very tight, black and white, narrow, sensitive, easy to cry, easy to froze, burn. Maybe if someone asks you, how are you? You might say, I'm fine, but inside you might cry, So it's really selfish base. But then there's healthy sense of self, which is connected with the awareness, compassion, kind. The unhealthy sense of self says, you important, don't care about others. But then below there, the healthy sense of self says, others important. Compassion, love, wisdom. These are very important. You can try this, Whatever you achieve, if you follow to the unhealthy sense of self, whatever achievement you get it, you still feel empty, hollow. But then if you do some charity work, social work, help others, you really feel happy from deeper level. So that is the healthy sense of self. Then if you connect with the awareness more and more, then there's a luminous self, self beyond self. So that is the awareness, always present, pure, calm, and with us all the time, free.
Well, so the healthy and the unhealthy senses of self seem like they're still driven by conceptual thought. You're thinking, and you're on some level identified with the stream of thought that's passing through consciousness. And yet there's this promise of being able to pay close enough attention to notice that there's something prior to or beneath that stream of thought which is not identical to it. Because this actually, just logically, this should make sense, because if yourself feels like anything, right, it must be an appearance on some level. I mean, this thing is, there's something you're noticing to feel like I. Otherwise, you wouldn't feel that way. You would feel free of I. So what are you noticing? Is it in your face? Is it in your chest? Is there something? There's some phenomenon. And consciousness is the prior condition of that noticing.
Yeah, I did this practice a lot. So I wrote in my book, the In Love with the World. So I live my monastery. Then there's a lot of me's. So I was on the station ground. And nobody bow me, So then I reflect a lot about this self, the different layers. So when I was young, I asked this question to my father, and my father said, can you tell me what particular thing that make you? Which one? I thought, yeah, of course. Oh. First I thought, of course I can. But then when I tried to look at, I cannot find it. Feeling bizarre, Wow. So that moment of some kind of the gap. So this sense of self don't like awareness normally. That like a little bit dark and funky and shadow, So you're just aware, the sense of me, the me, me. Just aware, just like watching your breath. When you watch your breath, you just to be aware of your breath, right? So you just try the sense of me, just feel that. Cannot find it. What you found, maybe there's a different layers, pieces. Maybe your body, your mind, your title, your experience, your past memory, your education, your experience, so many pieces. And all these pieces together, then normally we grasp, we hold as me, so strong, solid, become like a piece of rock. But when you observe, it is like shaving foam, Shaving foam look like piece of white rock, but inside is full of bubble. So when you see that, there's feeling of relief in another way. But at the beginning, you might feel a little bit nervous. So Bharata, meaning my book, The In Love with the World, is talk about the Bharata, meaning in between, the gap. So in our life, there's a lot of concepts like self, and we try our best to hold on these concepts. But actually these concepts are changing, especially when we face unexpected surprise in our life. Lost job, broken heart, or starting new job, or when you become 25 years old, leave your parents' home.
Sounds a little early, but okay.
18 years old, no, not the 17, 18 years old?
No, 18, never.
Never?
No.
When you become
it's now 30. In Los Angeles, it's 30.
I heard of that. When you become 25 years old, you move into the home.
Right, that's right. You leave at 25 and you come back at 30.
So moving away from home or coming back to home, also the gap.
Yeah.
So these moments, the gaps, can experience the glimpse of the healthy sense of self and luminous self. So when you look at the history, especially the people's life story, the best insight comes from with this unexpected surprise. When they face problem, when they're having some situational accident, whatever.
Crisis.
If the people really accept that and really don't give up, what we call letting go not necessarily to give up, continue to learn, continue to grow, then you can really connect with your healthy sense of self and luminous self. So this is why a lot of insights comes from there.
How would you recommend that people reflect on death now, the actual end of life, and strengthen their practice by thinking about that?
For us, what we call death is adventure. You can, a lot of things that you can learn, what we call learn.
Although in here, at least probably in this room, it's thought of as a very short adventure. It's not the doorway to some further. I mean, we should probably talk about rebirth and karma briefly, but clearly you can get the benefit of practice without knowing what you believe about what happens after death. I mean, like a karma and rebirth can be understood in the context of this life.
Not necessarily even don't accept karma. It's okay. You will die, But if you die with a joyful, wonderful, right? Die with the best experience, the best experience your true nature, that will be wonderful. I had that experience in my journey. The first month, I almost died with I think food poison.
But you had dysentery and you got very dehydrated, right? So
diarrhea and vomiting, and for 5 days, and no energy, no medicine, and then my body became paralyzed. And what we call there's 5 dissolution. the 5-element resolution. In the end, on this process, I rest in the awareness. In the end, awareness becomes really clear. So there's no concept, of course, not the normal mind, what with this thought and feeling, emotion, these are dissolves. But awareness is fully present. There's no front, no back, no time. So that is what we call the experience when the end of the dying process. So my father were in that dying, what we call dying meditation for 3 days.
Was he sitting up?
Like this.
Yeah.
He was in the meditation posture.
Right.
The lip is literally like this, And my grandpa died 2 years back. He was 99 years old. He died with the sleeping meditation posture. And he is in dying meditation 3.5 days. So what we call learn until the last breath, grow until the last breath. So, yeah.
So, let's see which door to push on here. So I know what it's like to be a meditator who spent a very long time struggling to get to a point where I was satisfied with my practice, in the sense that I knew what I was doing. I mean, that it was actually, or a moment of mindfulness or a moment of awareness actually tasted of freedom.
Right.
In the beginning, it was a method I was applying to my problem, and though I had many wonderful experiences, they were all impermanent.
Right.
And then it was like, going to the top of a mountain. I'd go on a retreat for, 3 months, and it's like getting to the top of the mountain and it's beautiful, but then I come off retreat and I've just kind of rolled back down the mountain, and then I begin to think, well, my freedom is really up there on the top of the mountain, and the only way to get back there is to get enough concentration and enough practice to get to that very wonderful state of ease. And it wasn't until I studied with your father and people like Nyoshe Ken Rinpoche and other teachers where I discovered that a moment of mindfulness, a moment of awareness, could actually be a moment of freedom, where I didn't have to lie to myself to say, well, I'm going to pretend this is like a moment of freedom, but I'm really busy trying to get somewhere. Is there anything you can say to help people get closer to that kind of sense?
Yeah, actually awareness is with us all the time. It doesn't matter where you are and which time, which location, which circumstances. Recently I was in Minneapolis. I was in the car. So in front of me there's a big truck. So when my driver, go to this way in the car, the truck come this way. When I go to that lane and truck come that way, it's always like block my. So I look at the back of the truck. The truck is for shipment, truck for shifting things.
Right.
And said, we can shift everywhere, anything, anytime. So I thought, oh, this is a good advertisement for meditation. So maybe we need to change a little bit. We can meditate everywhere, anytime, with anything. So, thank you. So, actually, you can meditate with everywhere. Of course, there's formal meditation, which is fully time dedicated for meditation, like we did with the right posture, like that, right? There's formal meditation. Then there's informal meditation that you can meditate while you're walking, talking, eating, with the meeting, with the walk, and you can rest everywhere, right? Awareness with you all the times. While driving, just few seconds, maybe 3 seconds, 4 seconds, just glimpse. And this, the daily practice of meditation, cannot conflict with anything in your schedule, You cannot do physical exercise everywhere, anytime with anything. Cannot, right? You cannot study everywhere, anytime. You cannot watch television everywhere, anytime. But
some of us try.
But meditation can. So you can meditate everywhere, anytime. So this glimpse, just little bit of meditation, what we call like, if there's empty container, with the liquid drop, just one or two or three, kind of like one by one drop falling into the big empty container. In the end, the empty container will be full of water, just like that.
Right.
So therefore, the really important is first you connect with the awareness, the essence of meditation. Okay, maybe I will do one examination. Can I?
Yep.
Do you know what is the essence of meditation? Awareness, right? Okay. Louder? Awareness. What is awareness? Knowing, right? Knowing. Okay. I would like to do one more examination.
Sure.
You okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this will be the examination of awareness, okay? So you will not going to fail because awareness is never going to fail, okay? It's always there. So I have 3 questions for you. The first question is, how many of you now recognize awareness? Raise your hand. Okay. Second question, how many of you think, oh, you are not recognize awareness yet? Raise your hand. Great. And the third question is, how many of you feel, maybe yes, maybe no, not sure? Raise your hand. Great. So now I will give you the grade, okay? The grade is all of you are pass. Congratulations. And do you know why all of you are pass? Yes or no? Should I tell you? Okay. Those who said, yes, I recognize awareness, you all pass, of course, you recognize. Those who said, I'm not recognize awareness, right? Do you know you are not recognized? If you know you are not recognized, that is awareness. Right? So it's just there. Those who said, I'm not sure, right? Do you know you're not sure? If you know you're not sure, of course you know you're not sure, otherwise you cannot raise your hand, you know. So if you know you're not sure, you recognize also. So for the awareness, it doesn't matter, you recognize or not recognize or not sure. It's always there. And it is free. It cannot be obscured by recognition, not recognition, or confused. The nature of awareness itself. So the thing what we need to do is we just need to recognize. So normally I give example about the watch. Do you know this is a watch, right? This is a watch. I have watch. Very expensive watch. No. What is the quality of the watch? Tells time, right? The main quality of what watch is tells time. If you not recognize your own watch, can watch tell you time? Yes or no? No, right? So, awareness is like a watch. Even though you have best watch in the world, if you not recognize watch cannot tell us time. So we have this wonderful awareness. The thing is we need to recognize and be with that. Once we know how to be with that awareness, then we begin to have the real freedom. You don't have to go there in the mountain. You can feel freedom here, everywhere.
So what misconceptions or misunderstandings do people have about freedom?
I think you are looking freedom out there. The real freedom is there within yourself. The awareness, the compassion, the wisdom, which is there with you all the time. But people not recognize that. And people looking for special feeling, looking for beautiful cloud. Don't like ugly cloud, you know. For the sky is same. Beautiful cloud, ugly cloud, both are cloud. So sky is always there.
It's very common to imagine that in a state of real freedom and in real stability in meditation, whether you think of it as Buddhahood or just some enlightenment, some real attainment, desire and preferences and every ordinary state of mind that people experience would no longer arise. So if I were truly enlightened, when I come out here, and let's say there were two types of water,
Right.
I would have no preference, and presumably I couldn't even pick. Like, how will I know which to choose if I have no desire and no preference? Is there any notion or belief about what the final state is that confuses us as to what freedom is and what the nature of mind is like?
Yeah, the people normally believe that the non-conceptual meaning, no feeling, no thought. Many people, they come to me, they said, oh, the meditation meaning, think of nothing, isn't it? I cannot do that. I have a lot of thought. I have a lot of feeling. Sometimes I like feeling, I want to feel things. But if I meditate, then that means I have to get rid of those feelings, Actually not. The meditation is all about the awareness. And awareness is with you, with feeling, without feeling, with thought, without thought. So let them come, let them go. It's just like cloud. You don't have to do anything. So once you connect with the more and more your fundamental quality, then the wisdom comes, the love, the compassion, the awareness become more clear. Your mind not become like narrow right now, sensitive, black and white, It's become open up automatically because awareness is like sky. Sky is always free, present, always there, right? And then there's a cloud. Why not? We should have clouds. Sometimes rain is good, no? If always blue sky without rain, then after 1 year, big problem, right?
Not in Los Angeles, but yeah. So, are there certain kinds of clouds that would no longer appear?
The thing is what we call, this is a watch. When you recognize watch doesn't change. But then the relationship between you and watch is changed. Although the watch has the quality that tells you time, if you not recognize watch cannot tell you time. So the watch for you is same as like bracelet, right? Just normal bracelet. But when you recognize a watch as a watch, now watch can tell you time, but watch doesn't change. So same like, you have the wisdom, you have thought, you have feeling, your emotion, but you're not caught up in that. Another example is if you see the river, you're out of river, but you don't have to stop the river. Maybe river is good, you can walk next to river, do exercise, and while watching the river, many people go to see river and waterfall, right? Pay a lot of money to see waterfall, make special schedule to see the waterfall. So why not? But if you fall into the river and the river become waterfall, big problem. But if you are seeing the river, that means you are not in the river, then it's okay if the river become waterfall. Nothing wrong.
So if someone was having a negative emotion, right?
Right.
I mean, so it's hard, it maybe isn't so hard to produce this on demand, but if you all think of something distinctly unpleasant, something you don't like, something that embarrassed you, something that you're worried about, something, surely you've got something. Bring that to mind, because now we have a room filled with unhappy people. How do you recommend that someone relate to the arising of a negative emotion?
So we have to do step-by-step practice. So normally I teach this course called Joy of Living. So I have this level 1 is how to connect with the awareness. Level 2 is about connecting with the innate love and compassion with us all the time. Level 3 is connected with the wisdom. So all these, awareness, compassion, wisdom, is our fundamental quality. So we need to practice this step by step, what we call experiential lineage, step-by-step practice. So just like I told you before, first we need to exercise awareness with the breath. Don't watch directly to your panic at the beginning. You cannot. You feel overwhelmed. You feel, oh, good idea, but it's not for me,
Yeah.
So you have to practice this first. Then slowly, you try with a small emotion. So when I was young, if I watch panic at the beginning, I feel very strong, overwhelmed. Then what we call try something different, second step. You come back to the breath or make another emotion. So what I make is anger. Anger is not my major problem. The panic is my major problem. So I make anger and I watch the anger. I make friends with the anger. Hello, anger, welcome, I can say welcome to anger, but not my panic. But then eventually, my retreat, the first year, I really welcome my panic. So that is after 5 years of meditation, I started meditation when I was 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I went to retreat. So when I really accept, then the panic comes. But when the panic comes, I feel quite excited. Now my heart speed up. It feels like I cannot breathe. Now I have this headache. This frightened image comes and sensation go all over the body and sweating. Hello, nice. So, almost like the panic kind of like helps me to bring my meditation. No panic, easy to forget meditation. When the panic comes, meditation comes. But at the same time, the deeper level, there's joy and excitement. But at the same time, symptoms still there, continue. Like for example, I heard of that many people, they become part of the gym club, They pay a lot of money every month.
Yeah.
The money is doing exercise in the gym.
Yeah.
And
They pay money not to go to the gym, yes.
Once in a while they go to the gym and they are fighting for parking space, So if they cannot park next door to the gym, if they park away from the door of the gym, then big complaint. Each step is complaint. Today's a bad day, This bad person took my space, or this terrible, Then you go to the gym. Then what do you do when you get in the gym? Walking on the machine, Now you feel like, my money become useful, and then this helped me, my body. So walk is same. Walking outside of the gym cause suffering. Walking in the gym on the machine cause for happiness. So both is work. But the important is how we look at the relationship between us and the thing. I think that's the most important.
Well, I would love to get you all involved here and have a proper conversation. So we're going to open it up to Q&A, and there'll be mics on both sides, and we will continue on this topic. While that's happening, maybe I'll ask you one more question about emptiness. What is this notion of emptiness that you Buddhists talk about so often?
Emptiness meaning nothing.
Emptiness
but nothing is everything. So, emptiness in Tibetan word, what we call tongpa nyi. Tongpa meaning empty, nyi meaning ness. The tongpa meaning everything doesn't exist the way what we perceive, the special with the unhealthy sense of me, the perceiving world is not true. But it doesn't mean nothing. So many people misunderstand about emptiness. They think emptiness means nothing, void. But emptiness is everything.
Right.
So potential. Like space is base for everything, right? Everything allowed by space. Everything taking place in the space, but at the same time, space does not exist. But it's not nothing. Basis for everything. So emptiness meaning to go beyond concept, to really connect with our fundamental quality. Then we practice the emptiness meditation. So kind of like your mind connected with the presence, the clarity, the self-luminosity, which is already beyond concept. You just be in that state. But no need to look that out there. It's just there with you. You need to recognize and be with that. And when you be in that, whatever the phenomena, perception, thought, emotion, let them come, let them go. So then you will really feel the deeper level of the freedom, sense of what we call liberation, meaning we are not caught up by the unhealthy sense of self. Yeah.
So let's start over here.
Hi, thank you both. This was a great talk, and I hope to one day be friends with my panics as well. Yeah. My question, Sam, is in the meditation app. One thing that I run into difficulties with is when you instruct to look for the one who's looking. That always messes me up. I am not sure if I'm supposed to find somebody or not find somebody there. Also, the when you also add the snapping, and maybe you've already discussed this with the drops of water in the empty bucket, but when you snap and I'm supposed to look briefly, I really get messed up with that. And I was just wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on what you mean by look for the one who's looking.
I mean, there are many metaphors that could help you here, but the one that seems to help a lot of people is one that Douglas Harding came up with on having no head. I don't know if that's of any use, but do you know Douglas Harding, Rinpoche? Did you ever hear of a man named Douglas Harding?
No.
He was a Zen practitioner who died. He was studying Zen, I think, in the 50s or even the 40s. But he was actually at Nagarkot looking at the beautiful mountain range, and to hear him tell it, he realized he had no head. It's like where his head was supposed to be, there was just the sky and the mountains, right? And so he instructed people to look for their heads. You know, when I'm looking at you, I only see one head. I don't see my head. I just see your head, right? So there's the world, and you're in it, and where my head is supposed to be, there's just the world, right? And that's, I mean, and the doorway into that is to look for your head, but it is a paradoxical kind of instruction because you can't see your head, right? It's the thing to see is that there is nothing for you to see there, but there is a kind of gesture, and there's a kind of paradoxical one to turn attention upon itself. And I think, I mean, another way to do it, perhaps, I mean, some people find some success with just imagining they have no head. You know, in a moment of mindfulness, just you know, realize that there's just the world here where your head should be, and that kind of opens. That gives an open.
You can do also with the sense of self. You know, there's sense of me. When you not look at that, it's very strong, very controlling. But when you try to feel that me, cannot find it. But not totally nothing. You cannot find it. So there's sense of something. So there is emptiness. So when you look, cannot find. Sense of me cannot find. Yet, someone cannot be found. So, not nothing, but you cannot find. But you found that cannot be found.
If you ever want to become a Zen monk, you have a career in Zen as well. You could.
Thank you.
Over here.
Hi. Thank you for your offerings. I'm curious about the intersection of romantic relationships and the path of awakening, and I would be interested in both of your views on if one can be in a romantic relationship and how that may impact a path.
Interesting. So let me ask the monk to my right about romantic relationships. She wants to know how meditation practice can be incorporated into a romantic relationship.
I think you go first.
Okay. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't know much more about it than you do, I think. So obviously, what makes every romantic relationship or any relationship less than perfect is yourself and the other self, and the way you manage to collaborate in producing suffering for one another. So if you could both just stop doing that, you'd be fine. And meditation is certainly one plausible antidote to the problems we get into there. I mean, it is, one kind of shorthand I have for this, or one phrase I have for this is, if you're suffering, you're thinking. Right? Now, I'm sure there may be some exception to this, but how does that seem to you? I mean, it feels to me that basically, if you're unhappy, if you're feeling, any kind of anguish, you are lost in thought, and you're identified with thought and not recognizing thought as thought appearing.
I think this
in
is
consciousness.
the Bardo teaching comes now. So there's the unexpected surprise. Sometimes the bad relationship cause big surprise. There's a gap, moment of really what you all believe, what we call the belief of permanent singularity, meaning the best, the Mr. Perfect and Mrs. Perfect, and from today, relationship forever. What is it? Happily ever
after. Yes.
Happily ever after.
Yeah.
Sometime many people come to me, they ask me, please, can you pray for me to find my perfect soulmate, Mr. Perfect and Mrs. Perfect. I say, I don't know about that, but I will pray.
Right.
And then sometime few months later, they come back to me, I found it. I said, you found it. I pray for you. After 2 years later, they come back. They say, I thought I found Mr. Perfect and Mrs. Perfect. It turned out to be joke,
Yeah.
and cry. So what I tell them, don't look for Mr. Perfect and Mrs. Perfect. Just look for Mr. Okay and Mr. Okay.
Yeah.
So the really important is life is like wave of the ocean, up and down, like stock market. And people has a lot of good things and also a lot of different things. So accept each other, not perfect, and try to kind of understand and explore each other. I think this is really important.
Yeah. Nice. We're here.
Well, first off, thank you both for
Yeah.
making this happen. This is great. Secondly, I look forward to interviewing you on my podcast. Since free will doesn't exist, you don't even know this yet, but I'm going to be interviewing you.
Okay.
And my real question, and this, I'd love to hear both your thoughts on this, with the awareness and the mindfulness and the presence associated with meditation, what's beyond this, I guess, this omnipresence of enlightenment and awareness? What's beyond that?
What do you mean? What's beyond awareness? What are you imagining?
Of the recognizing of the self or observing the observer. It seems like is that the end of the breadcrumbs?
What's beyond by way of instruction, or what is there to be experienced beyond?
Beyond that, there's enlightenment or not, something like that?
Yeah. What's beyond enlightenment?
Is there something beyond enlightenment?
Enlightenment is just there with you. within ourselves. So let's say we did this. You're talking about the looking at the me, right? Maybe, and you cannot find it. So that's a glimpse of the freedom, non-conceptual experience. But of course, at the beginning, it will not last long. It's just glimpse and gone, and next day you cannot do it. Still like stock market, up and down. But if you practice again and again, this recognition become more clear, the recognition of awareness, compassion, wisdom, which is within you. So that become more clear, more clear. So what we call, there are 3 stages. First is understanding level. So right now we are beginning stage, which is understanding this like idea. And we practice, we have some glimpse of experience, that's all. If you try again, then become experiential state. Not just idea, not just word. Become like, come into the body, into the sensation, into the heart. If you try again, then third step is what we call direct realization level. So at that time, that you connect with the third self, the luminous me, self beyond me. So losses, even you lost meditation, nothing to meditate, no meditator, nothing to meditate, free that time. But that is just beginning of the liberation, what we call. So then after that, if you continue to practice, then what we call, you are fully enlightened. When you're fully enlightened, then you don't know which water you have to pick up, You become like zombie. I don't know who am I, and I don't know who you are, because I don't have dualistic mind. No, I'm just kidding.
So zombie apocalypse is what you're saying.
Not become like that. So, enlightened meaning fully recognize awareness within you. The awareness, compassion, and wisdom. That's all.
Hi, thanks for everything that both of you do. It's a pleasure to be here. As the world's population becomes more mindful, as the mindfulness movement grows, and technological development grows towards the singularity perhaps, are those 2 movements at odds with each other, or can they help each other? My intuition tells me that they are at odds, as one promotes contentness with the situation of the world, and one is based on solving problems externally.
Actually, well, there's kind of 2 questions there. One is the prospect that technology could actually help us get enlightened, right? That it'd be possible to design a machine that could tell you you're lost in thought sooner than you would realize it on your own. So they kind of amplify the power of mindfulness. And people are actually working on that. I haven't seen one demonstrated that works, but I met a neuroscientist a few months ago who's a longtime meditator who claims to have a device like this where it will detect, like an alarm will go off when you're distracted. Would you think that would be of benefit?
Cloud, no cloud. If you detect only no cloud, maybe it works, But for the meditation, cloud okay, no cloud also okay. It is all about the recognition. It's just there with you. I don't know. So.
But to
can they detect the recognition? Maybe.
Well, so if recognition is a state of your brain, and there's good reason to believe that's true,
of course,
whatever else may be true, then if we can detect that state and we can detect your wandering from that state or a change in that state, then maybe we could have a light could go off every time you're lost in thought.
Why not?
And there'd be a positive feedback. Yeah. Would you
not?
be
Anything's
interested
possible.
in that? You want to start a software company?
Good idea.
Okay.
I take 10%.
But the other question, yeah, right. Yeah. The other question implicit here, I think, is that there's a concern that the project of trying to become personally free is contrary to actually trying to fix the world politically. There's so many problems in the world. And if we all just become monks or become yogis and figure out how to solve our personal problem, we're basically ceding the stage to all the maniacs who are not doing anything other than prosecute their own selfishness. So
meditating, if you transform yourself, then you can transform others. And when we look at the world history, the dictators, they want to change the world. They don't want to change themselves. Then what happened in the end? End up war. But if individually everybody want to transform themselves, then world, it helps the society. It helps the world. So if you meditate, if you become more peace, you may have influence that helps your family, your friend, your colleagues, your whoever connect with you. You will have this influence. So what we call meditation is like contagious, like flu. So flu of awareness, flu of compassion, flu of wisdom will be quite nice. But in the beginning, if you do like social work, whatever, helping others, but then the egoistic, special unhealthy sense of ego comes, then in the end, whatever you do may destroy the society. So I think the most important, you have to recognize that motivation. What we call compassion is there with you, but we have to recognize. So normally in my workshop, the Joy of Living Level 2, we talk about this compassion with us all the time. So one time I give this talk, you all have this fundamental quality and this love and compassion within yourself all the time. Everybody seems like very happy, and I was very happy. The talk went very well, Finished talk, I went out. There's one man waiting there, He said, "Can I, tell you something?" I said, "Yes." "You told everybody that everybody has love and compassion. Maybe they does, but not me. I hate myself. I have this very sense of self-hatred, low self-esteem. I hate myself 24 hours. So I don't have that love and compassion with me. So I just let you know." And then I asked him, "Why you come here?" He said, "To learn from you." "Why you want to learn from me?" He said, "I don't like this self-hatred. So I want to learn from you." I told him, there is love already. There's a care about self. He came from far away, took the flight ticket, take off time, and come there to really want to learn. So just love and compassion, just there, but we are not recognized. So maybe when you meditate, why you meditate? The part of the motivation is you want to help. Of course, you and others and society, whoever, friends, family. So the motivation, love and compassion is there, but we need to recognize and special to reconnect that love and compassion. The beginning of meditation and end of meditation you dedicate, then whatever action comes from that help the society. I think it's much powerful, beneficial.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm a father of 2 kids, and I've taught one of my children when he's frustrated to breathe, partially from using the Waking Up app and just having those thoughts in my head. And both of you have unique thoughts on this, I imagine, and I wish your wife was there, Sam, as well. And I haven't been into that part of the app, but do either of you have advice on how to help a child come into meditation in the way that I assume most people in this audience did not have the fortune of a teacher who could guide them?
I'd love to hear what you have to say about teaching children to meditate, but in our experience, and my wife has spent a lot of time teaching mindfulness to kids. Actually, she was taught to do that by Susan Kaiser Greenland, who's here tonight, who has the Inner Kids Foundation, which is this wonderful foundation that brings meditation into schools. I mean, personally, it's wonderful to teach it in schools and to find a curriculum that can do that, and that's happening. But personally, in relationship to our kids, we want to err on the side of not being heavy-handed about this and not forcing it on them. I mean, it really should be something that they just know we do, we're interested in, we think is important, and we invite them to do it. But it's a pretty light touch, even though my wife sometimes goes into their school and teaches it to the whole class, right? And that's a kind of another way in. So, but I don't know if you have. What's the best age for a child to start? Do you have a sense of when it's just too young to?
Yeah, I think you can meditate. Depend on the teacher, the skill. So 4, 5, like in my organization called Tergar, we are also try to create for parents. First teach to parents how to help for the kids. Like Susan Kaiser Greenland, she's also helping with us. We try to make this joy of living for parents. But it's very important is how you present the meditation for the kids.
Yeah.
That you have to really make it creative, match the level of the kids. You cannot teach like you meditate,
Yeah.
So kind of like fun with a lot of story and exercise. Then I think even 4 can learn meditation, I think.
And there are also sort of meta skills that I think is useful to show kids. So, for instance, when your child's very unhappy about something, and then that mood passes, just to point out the impermanence of a negative experience like that. I mean, just to, once the child is fully recovered, to show that that this thing that seemed like it was going to derange your life forever, only lasted for 15 minutes, right? And so there's wisdom even contained in that, which can lay the ground for it. So.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for being here. So I grew up in both India and here, so I've always been stuck in these language games of like Western languages and Eastern languages. I think you mentioned it in your book. Like in Western languages, you'd say like, I broke the glass, whereas back home you would say the glass broke, so much less responsibility, you can easily be more aware. And it kind of reflects in your guys' answers where you always say there's always awareness, you have it, and you don't need a specific technique. Whereas, you have designed meditation practices, your app, and you encourage people to take up meditation. But I think a lot of us are struggling somewhere in the middle. Like being a novice, I go in between like being aware versus designing my own meditation practice. So the question that I'm trying to ask is, what am I doing wrong, or what can we do if the automatic awareness to recognize my fundamental nature, like he says, nor the designed and teacher-led practice seems to make progress to kind of lead me towards, that state of enlightenment.
The awareness is always there,
Exactly.
spontaneous present, but you need to recognize. Watch is with you all the time, but you need to recognize your watch. So all this meditation practice is first recognize and maintain that recognition. So normally there are 2 types of meditation, what we call object-oriented and subject-oriented. So object-oriented is the object of meditation is important, like breath. It doesn't talk too much about the awareness, but only the awareness of the breath, only the breathing, don't think pizza, breath, peace, concentration. But our style is more like what we call subject-oriented. So subject-oriented is the breath. First important is the recognized awareness. What is awareness about? Once you recognize, you recognize already, right? Of course, everybody recognize. With 3 questions, and you all have answer, right? So then the second thing, once you know the recognized awareness, second thing is the motivation that I'm going to meditate with the breath. That motivation automatically connect with the view. So just by knowing breath, you will connect with awareness. So then you will forget again, come back again, forget again, come back again. So a lot of things to learn to just simple that recognition and maintain that recognition. Yeah.
Okay, though time is an illusion, we are running out of it. So I think we're going to go for 2 more questions here. We'll start over here.
Thanks so much for the enlightening conversation tonight, and thanks so much for the Waking Up app. It's been a game changer, really.
Oh, thank you.
So if we can experience awareness at any moment, then what is the true merit of a formal meditation versus informal? And what value do you really get from meditating for 10 minutes versus 30 minutes versus an hour or several hours?
Well, I would just, I would hand this to you, Rinpoche, but in some traditions, there seems to be a message that there's kind of a linear relationship between how much you put in, how much time you put in on the cushion, and how much progress you'll make, right? Yeah. And that's not your tradition, and certainly the Dzogchen tradition doesn't tend, I mean, there's obviously you've done many years on retreat and people do lots of formal practice,
right.
But there's this emphasis on short moments many times repeated, and you're punctuating ordinary life so as to make the distinction between formal practice and life go away.
Yeah. So at the beginning, of course, we need a formal meditation, maybe every day, maybe begin by 5 minutes, and then you can expand. So that 5 minutes is fully time dedicated with the meditation. But then you can meditate everyday life, short time, anytime, everywhere, anytime. So the thing is, it's all about the recognition. It's not that you don't have, but we all have, but we forget. Easy to forget, right? Even few seconds we forget. We forget awareness. We forget awareness. Come back, come back. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to control anything. You don't have to block anything. You don't have to create anything. How nice! It's very, very easy. Just connect with awareness. Awareness is knowing that with you, you will never run out of awareness. But the thing is, you will forget. So to maintain that again. And then the time become longer and longer, the quality become more clear, the more vivid, more vivid. Then the sky, you will see more clear. The sky become more visible. Although you don't need to change the cloud. No need to change cloud. But when you connect with the sky, then cloud is good. You will not lost in the cloud. So yeah.
Thank you. Question for Rinpoche. Before your wandering retreat, you mentioned having all these me's that were, your eyes, and so you went, you took your robes off, all these experiences of losing some of those me's. Now that you've been back and you're in robes and you're at Turgar and you wrote another book, traveling to teach, how is your relationship to those me's different or the same?
Now all these me's come back, So I'm very happy to come back also. While I wrote this in my book about while I'm gone, I learned a lot. Especially the first month experience, almost die. That experience is the best, amazing. So before I have this feeling of why I'm here, on the street. When I was on the street, I think why I'm here, should I go back? Or this is unsafe, very dirty, a lot of dogs around, Daytime, me and dogs are friends. Nighttime, we have become enemy. When I move a little bit, they will chase after me, So then I had this almost dying experience. Then I mentioned about that great experience, right? The luminous, the awareness, totally present. So I was in that state for 4, 5, 6, 7, I think 6, 7 hours. Then I come back. So when I come back, now world looks different. The feeling of unsafe, dirty, why I'm here is totally gone. So the street become like my home. The tree in front of me becomes so alive. The leaves are shining. The breeze, the wind, the breeze. Face comes into my face, become like joy. So a lot of appreciation. So much grateful. So then after that, I begin my journey continued. Actually, I went for 4.5 years. So what I call, if you love the world loves you back. So that's the title of my book, In Love with the World. So for me now, feeling is the deep of my mind, there's always this appreciation and the contentment, the joy, no matter what circumstances I face. Mountain, busy, teaching very tight program, be alone. Of course, there's a different flavor, there's a different feeling, but the deeper level always feel appreciation, gratitude.
Well, it really is an honor to share the stage with you. And
Thank you very much.
It was a long time coming to finally meet you, and it was a
I'm very honored
great
to
pleasure.
be here also. Thank you.
Yeah. If you want to find out more about Rinpoche's work, his foundation is tergar.org, Tegar. Or is there an R in there? Tergar.
T-E-R, I think. T-E-R.
Yes, I'll get this right on my website when we
Something
publish
like
this audio. And his foundation offers a lot of online coursework, and there's a schedule of retreats, and he's you're now traveling for 4 months now, right? Teaching. So he's very active teaching. So if you want to ever sit intensive retreat or learn in a distance learning way some of these practices, it is a very involved curriculum. I mean, like a lot of what can be said in an event like this really has to be unpacked over the course of one's practice. So I would, for those of you who want to look more deeply